Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Nurse Mark and the Green Nurse Daily Dose of AFA.
Where we bring you hope and inspiration for growth and healing so you can start your day off the AFA way.
Yes.
And in case you have forgotten,
Oh,
every day we're going to remind you because Mark wrote a
you
book
can't
about it.
forget,
You can't
but you
forget.
will. You'll get caught up in the day-to-day of life and you'll forget that you're absolutely fucking amazing. You're absolutely amazing exactly as you are. Okay? The pressure's off. You're perfect. You're amazing.
Yes,
Yes.
you are amazing. And
Oh.
we just want you all to wake up,
Mm-hmm.
look at yourselves in the mirror. And if you can't, look at us and we'll tell you that you're absolutely fucking amazing exactly as you
We'll
are.
tell you.
We,
We know. We know
we
you're absolutely amazing.
Well, here's the thing though, too, Mark, and I'm not going to
Yeah,
lie. Sometimes we need to hear it. I'm going to tell you,
of
we
course
get
we
into
do.
our, we get into, we
Excuse me.
sometimes to our thoughts and to the stories. And then it's like,
Mhm.
I don't know if I'm really all that. And all right.
Oh my
And
God.
sometimes, you know what I mean?
Trust
Like,
me,
yeah, like I get a
you
little
are.
nervous and I send, messages out to a friend and I'll say, I need a little support. And the message is,
Yeah,
you're bold, you're brave, you got
yeah,
this. Right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Here.
So that's the message we always start off with every day is that you're absolutely amazing exactly as you are. And when you really get that, the pressure really is off because then anything's possible because you're absolutely amazing.
Yeah. And Mark, my
Okay.
son, my son has gone through some health challenges through his
Yeah.
year. He used to start his day off, and I was like, you little munchkin, but it was true, but it was kind of annoying. He goes, Mom, it's going to be the best day ever. Isn't it,
Yeah.
Mom? And he
Yeah.
was looking for that validation. Mom, it's going to
Yeah.
be the best day ever, isn't it? So it's like, oh, geez, the pressure's on. So it's
No, because the best day ever is whatever you say it is. So here we are, Friday, March 26th, 2021. Here we are. It's the only one we get, and this is an amazing day already. We're
already.
here. We're talking. Good morning.
Good morning,
Good
Joyce
morning.
Gerber. Oh, Joyce, I'm so happy that you're joining us. This is so great. Joyce has
Yeah,
the Can Mom show,
I
and
know.
she's doing some great. I'm sorry, Mark, you weren't on it. but, but,
No, no,
you
that's
know,
all right. Joyce and
she's
I hooked up some people that needed
to
to be on
Joyce.
her show.
I
Oh
know.
yeah.
I'm so glad that you're joining us this morning. Yeah, we're going to be doing some more work with Joyce. I did reply to that email. Not sure if you got it.
So here
So
we
here we
are.
are.
So Friday, March 26th. Let's start off with the daily love. The daily love today was about faith. Mm. Mm, 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 mm. And it talks about, the world seems to be changing more and more with each passing day, but the reality is that there is nothing permanent in this world. Yet we get caught up in this day-to-day living of life, right? As human beings, we get caught up in this day-to-day living of life and we lose that viewpoint that everything changes and we get so set in our ways and we want it to be a certain way, and then we have events that happen in our lives, right? We have the
Mhm.
sudden death of a loved one or a job that goes away. Something changes. And then all of a sudden we see so clearly that nothing is like in life is permanent. And sometimes it shakes us, right?
Oh boy.
I've
It's
had moments in my life where things have happened. I'm like, wow, okay. And that's when we step back into faith. And the faith for me is a faith in abundance and love. That's
you
it.
know,
It's
faith
all I
and
need to have faith in.
and it's I love that. And the reason
Mhm.
why, because when my son was born and he had all those challenges, I almost heard it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And so if I had to
Yeah.
hang on to that little prayer, right?
Yeah.
So faith is for me, everything's
Mhm.
going to be okay no matter what.
Yeah.
Right? Because why? Because we get
Right.
back to the core, right? The circumstances around us,
Yes.
control, but how
Yeah,
can
and it talks
I
about it, it talks about
resilience?
in this reading, Sherry, it talks about, at times we may put our faith in things and worldly things, and you know what? We find out very quickly that they're impermanent, and we end up in this space of, wow. But the last thing was just a quote. It said, "Now faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the convictions of things not seen." Right. So at the end of the day, faith is just that. It's faith in something unseen. So I like to I like to point out that when is the last time you saw air?
There you go.
Oh, right. And yet all day long for every moment of our life, we're breathing it in, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. We never see it, but it's here. And I have faith that it's here.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So just because you can't see something, hear something,
Mhm.
feel something, or know something doesn't mean that it's
Yeah.
that's really, really cool
Oh,
way
yeah.
of looking at it.
So I have that faith today. I have that faith of abundance and love.
That's awesome. That's so
What what a base to come from. Woo! So here we are. You have a poem?
I have a little poem. I
Oh.
was doing some meditating.
Mhm.
Sometimes insomnia kicks in, and I work with. I have my own, shamanic healer that I do meditative work with, and we did some meditation work last night. Even though I had a hard time sleeping, I felt like I was vibrating, and all this stuff was coming in, and so I was like, sleep.
Yeah.
So I started looking through some poems, and some poems came up, and I just settled in. So here's the really cool one. It's called "The Reason for Being." And it's written by Helen Lowry Marshall. And the poem goes like this: I would look deep within this living book I call myself. I would dust off the cover, lift it down from life's high shelf, would delve deep into the chapters that long ago were closed, and bring to light the secrets never honestly exposed. I would study it for lessons that should be recorded there. I would test it for its value. Is it honest? Is it fair? I would search to find the answer why this book is on life's shelf. Sorry, this is the quote. I would search to find the answer why this book is on life's shelf. I would hope to find the reason for this book I call myself. So we're writing our books, our lives.
Yes.
Right? And that's what it is we have the capability to create our lives any which way we want, any which way. And you can't control, I keep saying, you can't control the outer circumstances of your life. You can have faith that you will be able to take care of anything that comes your way.
And you always will. You always will. So all of that fear that we usually live in, that human experience, it's not real.
It's not real. Yeah.
Not
But
real.
your body feels it as being real.
Yes, of course.
So this is where cannabis comes in.
Uh-huh. And so, hey, Fun Fact Friday, here we go. We're looping cannabis into this. Here we go. So, Sherry, we've been talking about chemotypes, chemovars. The old way is with strains, indica, sativa, and really, I think universally at this point in the industry, we're all in agreement that those are pretty inaccurate now.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, there's been so much interbreeding and hybridization that now it's about chemovar, chemotype.
Yeah, I did a workshop last night with Tammy Sweet, and she was really great. She's an herbalist. She's written some books. She was on In the Weeds the other day, and it was great just to hear her look at cultivation. She was calling all of, sativa, indica, hybrid, hemp, all of that. She was calling it cannabis, right? Yeah. And so it's just because it is cannabis and all of these
scientific classification.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So we break it down even further to help people to understand the components of the different parts of the plant, because there's so many different components. They say over 400, over 120 cannabinoids, terpenes, essential fatty acids, bioflavonoids, cannaflavins.
Yeah.
So all of this plays a part. And when you hear us educate, cannabinoids do a certain thing in our body. Terpenes do a certain thing in our body. Essential fatty acids, all these things interact. And then if you put them all together, right? So you have this cool, amazing entourage effect. So they're breaking it down even further because these chemotypes actually indicate differences in composition, even though the plant looks the same. So this has to do with genetic differences that they can lead to large changes or characteristics of the plant. So they started to break it down into chemotypes, looking at ratios of THC and CBD. So last week we talked about Chemotype 1, which was high THC, low CBD. And today, Mark and I are going to discuss Chemotype 2, which is equal amounts of THC and CBD within a certain percentage. So for example, when you hear the term 1-to-1, right?
Right. Yeah. So here we are. Yeah. So, these are high level classifications, right? When we get into the weeds, so to speak, when we get into the weeds and we're talking about terpenes and flavonoids and all the rest of the constituents of the plant, we're really diving down into the chemovar, right? These chemotypes are they're the headers. So now we're talking about chemotype 2, which is an equal amount by ratio of CBD and THC, which are the primary cannabinoids in cannabis.
Yes.
So further down, we talk about the real chemovar of each one of these different chemotypes. So here we go. Chemotype 2.
A mixed ratio profile with CBD and THC in varying moderate concentrations. So generally what happens is they put the CBD forward. So it's CBD to THC ratio. That's how it's mostly always presented. So the benefits of 1-to-1, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And there are. So type 2 or mixed ratio flower, or 1-to-1, doesn't make up a large percentage of available products, but it'll be taking a leading role as more people seek to balance to control their experience. And Sherry, the explanation's simple, right?
It's very simple. And this is for myself and a lot of other patients that we've worked with, especially when they need to use large amounts of THC. So CBD, what in my experience with myself and others that we work with, CBD allows many patients to tolerate more THC to manage symptoms without impairment. So oftentimes patients will either start with CBD and they'll start to increase their CBD, or some patients will start off with a 1-to-1 right away.
Right.
So the thought processes and behind Canakys is that, and it just states it right here in the literature, is that the benefits of 1-to-1, it can decrease unwanted impairment from THC while increasing the therapeutic benefits. So heard people say, "Oh, I don't want to take CBD; it's going to ruin my high." So no, it's not.
Yeah, this is huge. Yeah. This is huge. You nailed it, Sherry. It allows people to have all of the benefits of the THC with a decreased sort of intoxicating effect, which a lot of people, are scared of, frankly. People who are cannabis naive, who haven't used it before, that's what the concern is, right? So this is beautiful when you have that CBD forward cannabis.
CBD. So CBD, and the other thing that I learned too through experience and research and working with patients, is it is truly the great influencer and how the rest of the plant works in our bodies.
Yeah.
You have the entourage effect, the whole plant, the mixed ratio of the various cannabinoids, right? The terpenes, and they all work together on multiple receptors in our body, working on multiple receptors, multiple symptoms, and multiple systems. Just think of the umbrella.
Yeah.
You get showered on with your cannabinoids.
We talk about the amazing qualities that this one plant can produce in the human body, right? It can affect so many different systems within the body all at the same time, which is increasing the health of the human being all at once, right? It's like the tide coming in and raising that boat.
Yeah. So here's just another cool example. Is just even the 1-to-1, patients, like when they don't have that immediate high feeling, especially people that are new, cannabis naive, we don't want to scare them off. So starting with the 1-to-1 or even lower, lower, having more CBD than THC, there's a greater likelihood of compliance if they have a good experience.
Yeah, of course. And, we talk about it all the time. The greatest, challenge is that people will try this on their own, and they'll have an experience that's not that great, with too much THC if they're new to this, and they'll walk away from cannabis forever. That'll be their one experience that they hang their hat on, and they say it doesn't work for me. And that's a shame, because it really is so beneficial in so many other ways. So if we can give somebody an experience that includes a good ratio of CBD to THC,
Yeah,
they're going to be much more likely to have that positive experience and then can work into really utilizing this as the medicine that it is.
totally agree. And well, here's another cool thing that I'm not sure if some of our viewers know, but remember how we said phytocannabinoids the plant makes,
Mm-hmm.
endocannabinoids we make? Well, guess what? The pharmaceutical company makes what we call synthetic cannabinoids, and
Right.
Sativex is basically an isolated cannabinoid profile that has the 1-to-1 ratio, and they've been using that more and more in clinical trials,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because of what we've talked about.
Yeah.
Because CBD and THC in those ratios is less intoxicating, and you still have the full benefit of everything that's available from both of those.
Exactly. So conditions that have a
Yeah.
positive effect, one to
Yeah.
one. You see this all the time. Fibromyalgia,
Mm-hmm.
multiple sclerosis,
Mm-hmm.
pain due to muscle spasms,
Yeah.
peripheral neuropathy,
Uh-huh.
and then mental, emotional, types of disorders working on the central nervous system. Because if you think about it, right, just think about the 1-to-1. If people have depression, anxiety, PTSD, panic disorder, the 1-to-1 just seems like a really, really good choice, because if you do too much THC, it can make you feel worse.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, that's one of the things that we always screen for is depression, because there are some studies that show that THC can have an adverse effect on depression, and you can become more depressed if you take too much THC. But again, having that ratio of CBD to THC might mitigate that, might make it not as likely to increase depression. And
Right.
so, I like to talk about neuropathy a lot,
Yeah.
because it's not well treated with any of the pharmaceutical medications, right? Gabapentin they use an awful lot, but it's not well treated. And there's a lot of people who have neuropathy for a
It's
lot of different reasons, right? I mean, so if you undergo chemotherapy for cancer treatments, there's a high likelihood that you'll have some neuropathy, some damage to those nerves. And so there's a lot of people who suffer from that. And diabetic neuropathy is really well known, right? So it's this constant pain. And if any of you out there have had any sort of chronic pain over a period of time, you know how much it affects your life. I mean, how much it affects your mood, your life. I mean, it's just debilitating. So for cannabis to have this positive effect on neuropathic pain, and it does, and it's been studied, it's so exciting that we can bring this to people.
Yeah. Yeah. And
It's
you can bring, and that's the thing too, there's so many different products that you can use,
Yeah.
for all of these different conditions.
Hmm.
And it works. And Mark and I have done the research, right? We've done the research not only in real research, but even research as patients, clinicians,
Right. Oh yeah.
experimenting with these different things, and
Right. I mean, I'm having an issue right now. We talked about it before we got on the show. I've had, two herniated discs for almost 30 years. And, in the last couple of weeks, I haven't been able to work out, which is what I need to do on a daily basis to keep my core strong. And it's a thing that saved me from being on the surgical table. And I'll tell you, the surgeon, at New England Baptist in Boston was very honest with me back 8 years ago when I was a week away from surgery. I said, I'm starting to feel just a little bit better, doc. And he said, I don't want to sit. I asked, should I have the surgery? And he said, I don't want to see you until you're dragging yourself across the floor in my office. And because he knows that surgery, has probably a 50% likelihood of solving the issue, right?
yeah.
So it's neuropathic. It's that pain from the nerves being impinged, right? Well, now I'm experiencing that today. And so what's my regimen? I use
Exercise.
So exercise, right? Exercise, keep
A little
moving. Now that's funny, Sherry. You and I had the same doc that followed us at the spine center at the Baptist. Like you've had disc issues, I have. We
bit.
had
Yeah.
the same doc. And
Same.
Carol Hardigan, she is amazing. If you
Well, I'm
have
not
back
gonna
issues, you want her, because here's what she told me, Sherry, back in the day was the best thing you can do when you have a flare up is keep moving. Don't lie in bed. Just keep moving. Go to the gym and do 25% of what you can do. Whatever you can do, move.
Stretch.
Anyway, my
Yeah,
regimen
that was
today
pretty
is
cool
going to be
too.
CBD THC.
CBD, THC, 1-to-1,
1
absolutely.
to 1. Absolutely.
The more things that we can do, so the whole point of the story with Mark's
Mhm.
back, that
Yeah.
all the other endocannabinoid system nourishing activities, right?
Yes,
Most of
including
the lotion,
exercise.
yes, actually, prevented him from having to go under the knife.
Yeah. And who knows if it's a 50-50 chance, you know?
50-50.
God bless the surgeon who was honest and said, no, we're not going to do this.
Yeah.
And so exercise has kept me away. But getting back to this tie into cannabis and neuropathic pain,
1-to-1 is Mark's going to.
1 to 1. Like I immediately, when I started the flare up, I immediately got on that.
That's good.
So yeah. So here we are. Let's talk about chemotype 2. What varieties
Of
do we
strains.
have?
Range
Yes.
variety. So the names, so some of the names of the chemotype 2s that we found that were more of a 1-to-1 include cellular. So the documentation said that it's generally 7.3% CBD and
Right.
7.7% THC.
Which
So
is
cellular, yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one.
Mhm.
Here's a good one. This one's just a little bit different. It has a little bit
Yeah.
more THC, but it's called Haley's Comet.
Ah.
So it has 11% CBD and 15% THC.
Mhm.
So there's a little bit more THC. And so if
Yeah.
you think about that, you may be a little bit more stimulating.
Mhm.
I like
Mhm.
this one too. CBG OG. A
Yeah.
original gangster CBD. So
CBD OG, baby.
OG.
And that's a higher percentage of CBD versus THC, right? It's 19.5% CBD
Yep.
versus 9.1% THC.
Right.
So it's more CBD forward.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So they look at, in Canna Keys, they look at a lot of different things. They look at the
Mhm.
cognitive change potential, the relaxation potential, and the
Yeah.
sedative potential of a
Mhm.
1-to-1. So the cognitive change potential, meaning what's going to go on in someone's brain, their central nervous system, is
Right.
moderate expectation of cognitive changes in the mind or mood, right? So in other words, it's not going to be as intense when you use a 1-to-1.
Right. Mhm.
And then the cognitive changes too. Everyone's like, oh, is that a bad thing? No, not necessarily. When you're working on these brain receptors, where the goal is homeostasis or balance,
Right.
right? So if people
Right.
aren't enough of their own, cognitive changes isn't necessarily a bad thing, especially if it's going to improve.
Yeah. If it's
Right.
going to improve your mood, right? Absolutely.
So relaxation potential moderate,
Mhm.
sedative potential milder. So,
Yeah.
the 1-to-1, it just seems to be, I like to call it, it's like ground zero,
Right. Right.
Um,
In a lot of people, CBD can be a little bit more stimulating, right? So it's going to keep
Mhm.
you up a little bit. In some cases, THC can, increase your sedation. So this being that equalizer, it's equal parts.
Yeah.
It's going to be milder on the sedative potential.
Yes. So then
Yeah.
they look at sub ratios.
Uh-huh.
So when we talked about CBD to THC, so there's the 1-to-1, right?
Mhm.
Then there's the 2-to-1. So 2-to-1 is 2 parts CBD, 1 part THC. And here's
Mhm.
an example, a quick example. So if you have a 600 milligram bottle of CBD,
Yeah.
right, and there's 300 milligrams of THC in there,
Yeah.
that's a 2-to-1. So there's
Right.
2 part CBD to 1 part THC.
Mhm.
Same thing, you can go to the next one. 3-to-1. So if you see a tincture that says 3-to-1, it's 3 part CBD, 1 part THC. An example would be 900 milligrams of CBD to 300 milligrams of THC.
Mhm.
I hope this is making sense to people.
Yeah, and so we see a lot of products that are out there that are 20 to 1, 30 to 1 CBD THC. And so again, you're getting that little dose of THC that's not going to be intoxicating with this higher dose of CBD, and you get the full benefits of, pain relief and the other things that THC is very good at.
Yeah.
But you don't have that relative intoxicating effect.
Yeah. So just the bottom line, CBD can keep the euphoric effects mild, right? And
Mhm.
oftentimes very unnoticeable. The THC, we start to increase the THC, can help make the products more effective. So these ratios, a lot of times we use these ratios for people that are sensitive, that are new,
Mhm.
that are cannabis naive, and then we work with
Right.
them. Right. So how do we work with ratios?
Well, hey, we personalize it because everybody's different, Sherry. Everybody's different, and everybody's different at different times in their lives, right? Your receptor counts, they change based on what's going on physiologically in your body. I mean,
Yep.
that's how it works. Your body says, "Oh, this neurotransmitter is not very prevalent here. I better increase the amount of receptors so I can take more of it in." So it's always this shift and change, and that's the way it is with your endocannabinoid system. And so,
Yep.
yeah, it's personalized to the particular individual.
We have a unique biochemistry, and how we metabolize everything is
Mm,
different. And everything that we do or don't do in our lives is going to affect how cannabis works for us.
right, right. Mhm.
So, for example, I'm going to give you, say, for example, a patient said, yeah, I want to start with 1-to-1. So how we would manage that is we have them start low and go slow, right?
Always.
A couple of times a day. If they find
Mhm.
that it's too psychoactive, what happens is we have patients start to increase their CBD,
Right,
because the goal of cannabinoids is to medicate below the threshold of feeling impaired. Right?
right.
So, um,
Mhm.
so here's the thing too. Sometimes people will be on the 1-to-1 and they'll be like, you know what, I'm feeling good, but it's not that impairing to me. And maybe they want more pain relief, or they want more medicinal relief, or they want more
Mhm.
of the side effect. So sometimes what'll happen is they'll start to increase the THC. They'll keep the CBD at one level and start to up it.
Right,
So the bottom line with all of this, when it comes to the all of this whole thing, is that CBD is going to help you to control your experience.
right. That's exactly it. And there you have it, folks. That's Chemotype 2. I
Chemotype.
just want to say thanks, everybody, for stopping by again today. Oh my gosh. Every morning we do this in the weekdays, and it's so good to see the same faces show up, new faces show up. Thank you so much for being a part of this. Absolutely being a part of this.
Awesome. And it's fun to
Mm,
see people show up, because it's just,
yeah.
we're doing this for us because
Yeah.
it's helping us. But to be able to share that with other people,
Mhm.
boy, I'm grateful that you're here to do this with me. Seriously. It's really,
Yes, all of you. We're all in this together. This is
we're all
all of our positive energy. It's all our faith together, right? Abundance and love.
speaking of
So,
energy.
yeah. So, speaking of energy, what do we have coming up
9 a.m. in the green
today?
community. Green Nurse Denise, Michelle, and Carrie Lee and myself, we're all going to be in the Green Nurse community.
Mhm.
Hopefully someone will put a little link I'll put a little link, or someone will put a link as to the community, so you can come in and join us for
Yeah.
Frequency Friday. So we always talk about vibrations, high
Mhm.
vibes. Well, let me tell you something. There is
Yeah.
something to that. And so we're
Listen,
going to
that's
talk.
the new wave of medicine. It's
Yeah.
all frequency and energy. That's gonna be where medicine goes. Okay.
Yep. Really, really excited to
So
educate
exciting.
you on that. Yeah, that's great. So
Yeah.
join us
So
in the
9 a.m.
9 a.m.
Uh-huh.
And then it's the weekend. So, we've got a lot
Oh,
going on. I'm heading back to Vermont. I can't believe it. Joe, if you're out there, you ready for me? So we're coming back. We're going to do some recording for some more shows that we're doing
love
for
it.
instance, which is going to be
Love
great.
it. Yeah, who
Yeah,
doesn't want to go to Vermont?
I
Such a
know.
beautiful
Cool.
place.
I know.
Amazing. Amazing. Yeah, so folks, listen. We again appreciate you stopping by. Let everybody know we're doing this at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 days a week. And yeah,
We
we'll
want to
we'll
bring
be
you
in this
joy.
together.
We're here to bring you hope and inspiration for growth and
Yeah,
healing. It is High Vibe Friday. So live it well,
right.
have faith, and know that we love you and you're absolutely fucking amazing.
You
And
are exactly as you are. Now, remember, this is your day. This day today, March 26th, 2021, the only one you're going to get.
that's
It's
it.
yours. Do with it what you want to do. And you know what? I'm going to have an AFA day. I'm already having it, just
Me
seeing you
too.
guys. So here it is. All right, Sherry, what's it all about?
It's about living your best life and helping others do the same.
Yes, absolutely. Have a great weekend, everybody. See you at 9 o'clock for a little energy healing. All right. Take care.